Meteorologist Matthew East here with you on this Wednesday, the 10th day of November. The very quiet weather marching on this week, but looking down the line in November, some weather changes are in the offing. There's going to be a plunge of pure Arctic air into North America next week, and it's going to be a battle of figuring out how far south that air plunges and when. I'll show you much more on that here in just a second. Let's start off with how we're looking this morning across the lower 48, and really pretty quiet. There's some shower activity in parts of Nebraska and Kansas with an area of low pressure that's going to head up into the Great Lakes region. Still some lingering areas of shower activity up around parts of New England and then some action out west, but very quiet over most of the eastern United States. Interesting temperature map this morning. Ahead of that system that's emerging from the Rockies into the plains, you have a big fetch of milder air, and there's 50s all the way up into Minnesota for current temperatures here this morning. In the eastern United States, this is still the residual cold air mass that invaded over the weekend. And each day has gotten a little bit warmer. We had some mid-70s across the Piedmont for highs yesterday. But what I want to show you here is you look at this temperature map and notice this pretty chilly air sitting here over southeastern Canada. There's also an area of high pressure right up in that area, and that's going to push some of that slightly cooler air down to the eastern side of the mountains for the rest of the week, so we'll be backing down our highs just a bit. Here's the upper air chart. Big ridge this afternoon centered over the Ohio Valley up into the Great Lakes region. We go on out a little bit into the future here. This is Friday morning. And again, you look at this upper air chart, huge ridge, you think, boy, we're going to be really, really warm. But you have to look at the whole scope of what's going on. And that high pressure will be developing and draining down the eastern side of the mountains, kind of undercutting that ridge. Now, as we get into next week, here's Tuesday morning. We'll have a rain chance probably Tuesday into Wednesday, and then it'll be a matter of gauging and timing some colder air. So let's get into it. Today, sunshine, a little bit cooler than yesterday, probably upper 60s and lower 70s for highs this afternoon. Tomorrow, mid to upper 60s for highs. Notice that high pressure, 1032 millibar high, and it is pretty strong. And watch how it just kind of develops down the eastern side of the mountains. And by the time Friday arrives, the high pressure is actually kind of centered over southern New England. Friday, highs again in the 60s, and we're probably looking at lows Friday morning and Saturday morning down into the 30s once again. Over the weekend, looks very nice. Saturday, lots of sun, probably upper 60s and lower 70s for highs, and then Sunday, and it depends on exactly how quick the next cold front tries to approach, but I still think we're well up into the 60s with a dry day on Sunday. All right, here we go on Monday. This is Monday early evening, and it now looks like the timing has slowed down. This is the GFS, and the European is actually a little bit slower than this. So I'm going to remove the rain chance from Monday's forecast. A little inverted trough here along the Gulf Coast, and that will spread the moisture up our way, but the timing a little bit slower today than how it looked yesterday. But finally, by Tuesday, I will mention the chance of showers, and that could extend at least into Wednesday morning if the timing of the European is correct. Now let's talk about the potential for a big cold shot later this month. This is a chart I love looking at in terms of what's going to happen down the road. This is the day 8 to 10 average, or the mean, up at 500 millibars. And the European model is the left panel. The GFS is the right panel. A couple of things to note. Both models indicating that huge ridge going up off the Pacific coast, and both models indicating some ridging going up around Greenland to some extent. GFS has that a little bit farther east than the European, but either way, some ridging going up. And so what's going to happen, that's going to allow pure Arctic air to surge into North America later on next week. Then it's a matter of how far south it plunges. Let me show you one of the GFS panels here. This is out the Friday of next week, so the 19th. And there it is. I mean, that is true Arctic air that's plunged as far south as Wyoming, into Iowa, and into parts of the New England states. And, you know, when you're dealing with this type of Arctic air, it's just so dense, it almost inevitably is going to plunge southward. The timing of that's still in question, but I'm not really going to change my initial thoughts from yesterday. I'll say around the 20th into Thanksgiving week, that is fair game to see a plunge of quite cold air. But still the timing is a bit in question, but I think that potential and the likelihood, frankly, is very much on the table. So that'll be interesting to watch as we get later on this month. All right, that's it for this Wednesday edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day today. Fix the microphone, and God bless.